Welcome to another tutorial on Google Smarter Not Harder. This tutorial is on data validation drop-down inputs for error-free information. The wonderful thing about Google Sheets is that you can create drop-down menus, which are called data validation tool. So drop-down lists are one of Google Sheets' many valuable features for efficient data entry. They are especially great for interactive tables and task updates. The best part about drop-down menus is they ensure that each data entry is error-free, since users can select predefined options instead of manually entering the data. So here's an example of a coach and candidate contact log, and this drop-down menu has options of work context or program requirements focus, right? So I'm going to go ahead and show you the step-by-step on how to insert a data validation drop-down menu into any cell or range of cells for what we call error-free inputs cells. So here we go. As you can see here, this is the blank contact log, all right, and it does not have drop-down menus. I'll zoom in there. It does not have drop-down menus created yet for the program requirement focus. So we could see from John Watson's, Dr. Watson's, what we call the interface, user interface, or the contact log. These do have drop-down menus, so you can see that he can choose from developing the IAP to self-assessment to reflecting on the implementation plan, observation, etc. So I can go ahead and do that, and that way the exact data I want, the predetermined list, is entered into that cell range. So let's go ahead and show how that's done. You just need to select the cell where you want that drop-down menu to be and go to Data and go down to Data Validation. As you can see, I've got other data validations here. I've got this hours and I've got the format. I'm going to add a new rule, and it instantly gives me option 1, option 2. And I could go ahead and change that to development of IIP. And then I could do this self-assessment on BOP. And I could continue to add more items here. I'm going to show you a easier, faster way to do this, but also one that allows for growth or change if you ever need to change your data validation dropdown. So instead of doing this, the dropdown, you can click on here and say dropdown from a range. So I'm going to click on that, and then it allows for me to choose the range. Or I can click here and it'll say select a data range. So what we do is we purposely hide ranges at the bottom of the document. Over here you can see this little plus. I'm going to click on that and unhide this section. So as you can see, these ranges of hours are here. The range of formats is here. And you can see there's always blank in the same color underneath, because if I need to add to the list, I can, because I'm going to select the range of all of those colored cells. So for this one, I'm going to choose here, starting in J78, and I'm going to drag all the way down, and even these blank fields or cells, I'm going to highlight, and then I'm going to let go. So now I have J78 through P92 as my range. Now I'm going to show you once I click OK what will happen. I clicked OK, and now they've all been filled in for me in this section. So let's go back up. I could even give it a try. There they are, all filled out for me. Okay. Now, I'm not a fan of the gray, so I'm just going to go ahead and click Advanced Options and scroll down. And I'm going to change it from chip to arrow style. As you can see, the arrow style makes it so that it's a little bit more form-like, in my opinion. All right, so these are my options here, and I can try that out. Yep, as soon as I select one, the blue goes away, and that exact data entry is entered in for that section. So I can go ahead and at this point click done. All right, so now when I hover over this, it is just J16 has that data input, right? So I can go ahead and, oops, try that again. I'm going to go ahead and select that. Okay. Now, to make it go blank again, I just click over this and press the delete key, and that's still there, right? But at least it's just blue. Now let me show you another wonderful thing that can be done here. Is you're like, do I have to do that for every single cell? No, because there's these little shortcuts that you can do. So you can click and find this little blue box here, and I can click and drag that down to these other cells, and now all of them have that data validation, right, as an option. But I didn't go all the way down, so I'm going to go all the way down, click this blue little box, and drag it all the way down. Now all of them have that data validation. But like I said, if there's ever a time where I was like, oh, you know what, I need to, in our program, we do this all the time. We're like, I need to add a requirement focus, right? So you can just go back down here, use one of these blank cells and say, let's say I need an other option. So if I just click an other option, I don't have to go through that whole data validation like I did, where I have to click here, do data validation. Because I chose the range that allows for these blank spaces to be part of that range, now when I go to my dropdown, other is here already. Okay, so here's another one. Let's say I want to start collecting when it was a no-show. The candidate didn't show up to, or the coach didn't show up. So I could call it no-show. I know that's kind of informal, but this is just an example. So now when I go back up here, other and no-show are in the list, and I didn't have to go through that whole data validation setup because I set it up with 2 extras at the bottom. And so these are the steps and video in a series of videos on how to Google Smarter Not Harder and creating a learning management system. And thanks for joining us.